Make sure we are in.
All right. Good morning. And again, for those of you who saw us earlier, Reverend Marianne and Reverend Jamie here for Sunday Morning Grace. It is Sunday, October 11th, and we are going to continue the discussion of the truth is within you, and the foundation of our truth, and thinking back on our ancestors and the gifts that we have from our ancestors, and some of the healing that maybe we need to be thinking about on behalf of our ancestors. And Jamie and I are going to talk a little bit this morning about traditions and how those traditions really relate to the truth in us, and maybe the truth that needs to be healed. So before we do that, welcome Jamie, and welcome to all of you.
Thank you. Good morning,
And I apologize for a little bit of a late start, best laid plans, but we promise we'll make it an entertaining few minutes for you, as well as we trust noteworthy. We'll leave it at that. So before we dive into our topic, let's do a little blessing just to kind of gather our energies collectively. So as you're guided, if you're comfortable, if you're able, close your eyes. Just take a deep breath in without judgment and let it go. Just release. And just kind of feel everything in your body, any place where you have any tension, any kind of tightness. Try to just relax. And just focus on you for a minute. You're breathing, the way you're sitting. Without judgment though, just bringing your attention to who you are. And get comfortable. Get comfortable with who you are and what brought you to where you are today. The journey along the way, the journey of those who came before you. And just know that everything that brought you to where you are today happened exactly the way it was meant to. And everything that is happening now is unfolding the way it should, including any shifts, any adjustments that may be needed to help you have a better tomorrow, a stronger tomorrow, a more awakened tomorrow. But today is unfolding exactly the way it was meant to unfold. And the angels want us to take one hand put our right hand on our left shoulder and our left hand on our right shoulder and squeeze and give ourselves that beautiful hug. That thank you from our ancestors for being who we are and carrying on their gifts, as well as a thank you from them for listening and being aware of what needs to change, what needs to shift, so that we can go on and be a stronger, more bright light in the world. Because after all, that's what this is all about. Being a bright light and beacon. Take a deep breath in. Let that all sink in and let it go. And as you're ready, open your eyes. Join this time, join this space, and let's begin.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Now, Jamie, last time we met, you had a beautiful saying that you go through. And I feel very strongly in what you've said, and I kind of use a form of it. just because it is so beautiful and it's a reminder. And I think it's a great way for us to start today. So if you wouldn't mind just sharing that again.
And I love this version because it's me and Marianne's co-creation per se, and I love it. So I'm excited to share with you. So again, just asking you guys one more time to get comfortable and taking a nice deep breath in, letting it out, and just allowing this prayer to help ground you, to help center you, and to allow you to open your heart and be present in this moment. O divine creator, keeper of my higher power, I humbly ask you help me to hear through your attentive ears, see with your clear vision, touch and feel with your gentleness, speak with your non-judgmental tongue, and embrace and welcome all with your loving and accepting heart. Blessed be.
Blessed be.
I love that.
So we've set a lofty goal for ourselves with our topic.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to be super heavy either. I think last week, if anybody listened to Reverend Elvia and Reverend Peter, they talked so eloquently about their ancestors going back several generations and about healing and about the gifts. And it just so beautifully epitomized who they both are. And I think that that's such a beautiful place to start with the foundations of who we are and how we become who we are. And Jamie, you and I were talking as we prepared for today's topic, and just in some of the traditions that have been carried on, whether it's from our direct ancestors, whether it's from traditions of past that we don't want to let go. And I think it's important that we recognize that traditions are meant to be carried on, but they're also meant to be shifted and changed to meet today's needs. And a perfect example of that was you were meeting with Mike's family last night on a Zoom meeting, because in a COVID world, we don't gather as family anymore. And so that might be a fun place to start, is just some of the gathering traditions that we have and how the traditions have come down in our families and how we've seen them shift. Mm-hmm. So I'll let you start with that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's definitely, as you were saying, we used to weekly do our best to gather in person with Mike. For those of you who don't know, that's my boyfriend, with his family. And then, of course, COVID hit, and his mom, well, he has two moms, but the one that we call his mom, his second mom, his cousin, was actually one of the first people around here to contract COVID. So, I mean, immediately as early as February, we were having to adjust things. And so they decided, since we can't get together weekly, they started having weekly Zooms. And while it's not necessarily the same, or, for some people, it's not as fun as being in person because they're not eating all that good food. We miss the food, but it's been really neat because we've gotten really creative. At first, like, we would just start where everybody would just, get together and hang out. And then we found like different games, they have the backgrounds now. So it's really fun to see how what started out even as a group of like 8 of us, just talking, has now morphed into like 20, 25 people at times, because the beauty is we're able to expand the family get-togethers, because being on Zoom, although not in person, the extended family or family that's close but lives in other states are now able to join as well. So it's actually been a really beautiful, blessing per se in disguise, because like I say, what went from like the 8 of us is now at times 25. I think we've even had 30 people on there at once. And they get on there. We play Family Feud and, different games, Wheel of Fortune, little, you can screen share games and things. So it's been, just really fun and really, just really neat to be able to get together with everyone, even if it's, not in person, to still have that option. So we enjoy it.
And I do believe that, let me ask this question. Had his family you said that they used to gather weekly for dinners or whatever on Saturdays. This goes back. Is this something that has been passed on through the generations?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So they've just found a way to make it work. So what do you think are some of the gifts in the gathering like that?
Yeah. Well, it's still really nice to, bond and connect with everyone. And the more we do it and get more familiar and comfortable with it, it doesn't seem as different now. Like I say, we miss the food, we miss, being able to give each other hugs, but like I say, it's just still just to have everybody and see everybody. And like I say, be able to see more people than we would see if we were doing it in person because they're out of state. Like that's been really, really nice. And to see like, because you know how it is, like it's somebody can tell you all they want that they're good, but like you want to see them, like literally, like, let me put my eyes on you so I know that you're good, that you're really good and you're not just saying it. So I love that part that like nobody can hide and say they're fine. Like we can look and tell if somebody's lying, and they're, "Yeah, fine." We're like, no, you're not. What do you need? And then whoever's closest, then we can still, if we can, they need us in person, we can go because it's a smaller, more like a one-on-one, or we can do porch drop-offs if, it's food or anything like that, or just someone needs someone to go to the store. So like, it's really neat how you can get creative so we can all come together and still meet needs, that need to be met in person or help, out in person as much as we can, but still, and especially because it did hit so close to home, like they're all just like really, really, not overly cautious, but extremely cautious because we've seen firsthand, and his aunt and cousin that lived with his mom that had contracted it, they both have pre-existing conditions. So it it's definitely like something that needs to be taken serious.
That's true. I was just checking to see if anybody had any comments on the live stream.
I thought I heard me echo for a minute.
So if you do have any comments, we will monitor from time to time. One of the traditions in our family has always been, it just seems to have happened, was we didn't move far away from our parents. We lived, like my mother lived around the block from her parents. My father moved a little bit further away from his family. They were on the South Shore of Massachusetts. We're on the North Shore. That was a big deal. You had to drive through the tunnel. It still is a big deal for my father's side of the family, for my cousins to come see us through the tunnel. And I remember when my sister got married and she and her husband bought a house in New Hampshire. It's a good hour away from us. Oh my goodness, you would have thought that they had moved clear across country the way my parents carried on. Oh, we got to get in the car, we got to drive, we got to pack it up.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Oh,
I'll never forget the first time going to their house, and it was a day trip.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And I think about that, and my grandmother, it came from Ireland, but she didn't leave her mother until her mother passed away. Her father and a couple of her sisters came over, but they had to stay close to the mother. The daughters had to stay close to home. I haven't traveled more than 10 miles away from my childhood home. I'm still living that tradition. And I moved to a town, I've been in a couple of different towns here, all within like that 10-mile radius.
Right.
But I still am I'm bound by that proximity. And
I love it though.
but our next generation is not bound by that. My sister still lives in the same house in New Hampshire. It's not that big a deal anymore. To go to her house. It's an hour. Yeah, you got to plan a little travel time, but it's not a big deal. My
Oh,
brother has since moved to Florida. Got to
whoa.
get on a plane to go see him.
Oh, sorry.
Um,
My
his daughter,
echo. I'm sorry about that.
his daughter moved. He has a daughter that followed him to Florida, but two of his kids are up here in Massachusetts. I have a niece that moved to Minnesota because of a job opportunity. I have another niece her sister that just recently moved to Pennsylvania. And it's the family is starting. I have another niece who's in Rhode Island. So
Oh,
they're starting to move a little bit further.
wow.
And so, the tradition of living, within walking distance of your mother
Right. Oh,
is no longer a must. And we're starting to expand on that, and we're realizing, and of course, it's a big deal. It's different now. We have different cars, we have different modes of transportation that are much faster. It's not like we have to get in a wagon train and go somewhere.
load up the wagon and go to New Hampshire.
So, I laugh when I think about it, because even sitting in the car with them that first day, it was like, this isn't that bad.
Oh my gosh.
But
Oh my
they
gosh.
weren't used to that. They weren't
Mhm.
used to the child moving far from the mother, at least on my mother's side of the family. My
Mhm.
father's side of the family, as I said, they all, you know, kind of moved a little bit further away. But um, I, I think that is something that we have to think about. And the healing that goes with it is, with today's technology, we have to realize there are other ways, such as Zoom, there's Skype, whatever way you want to meet. But the drawbacks to that are also that you can't have that physical embrace. And of course, that's something I think so many of us right now are craving, is
Mhm.
that physical embrace
Mhm.
with people who aren't in your bubble,
Yeah.
you know?
And I feel like that also leads into like, new traditions being created because some families aren't very affectionate. Some families, they didn't get together as much. So maybe through all this, people, will be more to like, hey, let's actually get together when able. So maybe in the future, once all this, settles and we're, can get back to some kind of old normal, at least in the sense of being in person more, that like, and maybe it'll help even in that, like, people may actually want to hug a little more too, because you don't quite take things as for granted. I feel that's what I'm hearing. It's like things can be much more appreciated. But in the meantime, as well, though, appreciating that we do have technology, because before, right, everybody, not everybody, but so many people were like, oh, technology, it's, taking away from intimacy. But now seeing how it's actually helping bridge the gap and keep some form of intimacy, just not in the form that we're used to, I think is a beautiful thing as well.
I agree. And I think, just like we look at where we came from and where we're going, and
Mhm.
how that is, the truth lies within us. It's really going deep. And as part of my truth, how good a communicator am I?
Mhm.
Where did that come from? If I was shy or introverted,
Mhm.
how how did that manifest? Where did that come from? Did I
Mhm.
come from somebody with low self-esteem, and as a result, that's made me very uncomfortable? But now, in order to get some of the other things, whether it be for work, because now I have to participate in Zoom meetings, or for whatever reason, is the healing. And I know that we're looking at this rather loosely,
Mhm.
but what made us who we are today, and what is today helping us to move forward,
Mhm.
is really what we're talking about. And what is it that we have to embrace about ourselves, And what is it that we have to try to move on from?
Mhm.
And for that person that's shy or an introvert or doesn't want to show their face on camera, but yet needs to. Yeah, me too.
Right. Me and Marianne, y'all might not know, but we are prime examples of who she just spoke of. She was talking about us.
um, but and what this has all forced me to do, honestly, I am the kind of person that every day woke up and put on makeup, whether it was Monday and I was getting ready to go to work or Saturday and I was getting ready to just hang out in my backyard. I
Mhm.
was, fully made up. And here you see, I am not. I haven't been able to go to the hairdressers. I'm getting all the grays are coming in. And you know what? I'm learning to embrace it. And I'm not putting on makeup. I haven't put on makeup since February.
Love it.
Uh, And I'm okay with that because I'm realizing if you can't love me for what's coming from here,
Mm-hmm.
honestly and deeply from here and here, through
Mm-hmm.
here, and through what I'm sharing with you, and you're not hearing my heart, and you're only looking at me because of this, you're not really who I want in my life. And I've healed that piece of, and don't get me wrong, I like to look good and I
Mm-hmm.
want to look appealing and attractive, but I'm healing that part of me that is so insecure that I feel like I need to hide behind makeup. This is me. This is the genuine me. And so I'm learning to embrace that
Mm-hmm.
me. And I
Yeah.
want you to embrace her too because of
Mm-hmm.
this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because like when you say that, like I remember you just always showing up with your makeup done and your hair done, just but like I don't even notice that because I notice you here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's a different kind of beauty that comes through. Now I've never been much of a makeup person, so you guys would probably be more shocked if you saw me in it. But but I was laughing with Marianne before we came on here. I had my hair different, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to fix my hair. Well, I got my daggone ponytail holder knotted in my hair. Literally, as we're getting ready to go on, I'm like, I had this knot with my ponytail holder, and I was like, it's not that I'm vain, but it's like I just have to have like at least be presentable. But I love too, though, that like even if we, weren't in our eyes presentable, like we can show up and be real and this group is a testament of that like and it's a great starting, point for going out farther, growing who we may expose ourselves to and what we feel is not presentable, right?
Right. Right.
Be able to show up here and like I say, no makeup, hair with a knot in it, and just like be us and still be loved and be accepted and probably be more real and transparent than it's a beautiful feeling. And I just feel like it's a great step and reminder, even for us, that like, you know what, we are absolutely enough. And and I just feel that the more, we let the inner beauty shine, that it can't help but come on the exterior. And it's a different kind of beauty. It's a real beauty and like a raw beauty, and I love it.
Right. So I feel like we kind of covered a couple of different focal points of the
Mhm.
topic. Do you feel complete?
I do. Yeah, because it's so vast. If we go down any rabbit holes, we're going to be really deep into rabbit holes. So I'm actually proud of us this morning.
So what I'd like to encourage our viewers, listeners to do is to really think about family traditions that have come through the generations or maybe just from a past generation, but really think about those traditions. Think about how you're honoring those traditions. Think about how you can improve upon those traditions. How you're being maybe not improving upon them, but how you're being forced to rethink those traditions, and how the morphing of those and the changing of them and the staticness of them, how that really factors in with who you are at your core. What is your truth and how all of that links. So I feel like everybody's going to accept this challenge, this assignment a little differently. But think of one thing that goes back in your memory, something that your parents did, maybe your grandparents did, that you still honor today, and how the person that you are and the world that we're living in today, how that has changed those traditions, but how you still honor that same tradition in your way, in a 2020 way. And we would love to hear those. We would love to see you post comments on the Facebook page, because I feel like this is a real nice way to think about our truth as well as our ancestors. And what is it that our ancestors did differently? And are we healing that, or are we just improving upon it? So it may be a gift, it may be something that needs some adjustment, but how has it changed, and how do we feel like it may change even for future generations? So share that with us. We'd love to hear it.
Yes.
All right. So we're ready to move on to tenants.
Yeah.
Let me pull them up here on the screen.
Do you remember how to do it?
I do.
Yay. I am proud of you.
All right. And here we have our tenants. And so you can read along with us. And Jamie, if you want to start.
Absolutely. And just asking everyone as we go into our tenets and then into our closing to just placing your hand over your heart and taking a nice deep breath in. And letting it out. And as able, continuing to breathe deeply as me and Marianne read the tenets, so that you may really allow them to be absorbed and absorbed deeply. And I'm hearing on a cellular level. I open my heart with deep gratitude and intend today to master my spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical energies. I am dedicated to my spiritual practice. I surrender to my soul's purpose through sacred prayer. I own my guidance.
I live in partnership with my angels. I serve with a loving heart. I am compassionate in every moment.
I trust it's all good. I allow immediate forgiveness. I honor my truth.
I listen to the spiritual messages within my physical body. I express myself creatively. I am one with Mother Earth. And so it is.
And so it is. Yeah. So, I'm being guided, Marianne, as we close to read our prayer one more time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just, oh, here comes my dog. I almost made it a whole thing without him. Yeah, but just guide to that so that we may, really, we entered into Sunday morning grace with it, and I'm feeling now that may we enter and walk through the week with it. So, again, everyone, just placing your hand over your heart, closing your eyes, and just hearing this prayer, and may it be a prayer for us all to again walk through this week with grace and ease and a little more compassion in our hearts. O divine creator, keeper of my higher power, I humbly ask that you help me to hear through your attentive ears, see with your clear vision, touch and feel with your gentleness, speak with your non-judgmental tongue, and embrace and welcome all with your loving and accepting heart. Blessed be.
Blessed be. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me. And thank all of you for joining us.
Yeah.
And we hope you enjoyed Sunday Morning Grace.
Mhm.
Reverend Carolyn and Reverend Dawn will be with you next Sunday. And Jamie and I will be back the second week of November
Yeah.
to touch on a new topic. But please let us hear from you in the comments section if you have anything to share, or reach out to us personally. We're always happy to be of service to you.
Yeah. All right. So be blessed, be well, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.